What's up, guys? This is Daniel from Apologetics, where science, reason, and Christianity meet. Today I want to talk about an interesting topic, and this it's the title of it is The Coddling of the American Mind, and this comes from a guy named Jonathan Haidt. He's kind of a well-known researcher, and his co-author, Greg Lugendorf. But we don't have to, I'm going to focus on Jonathan Haidt. I've heard him speak before. Interesting guy. I don't think he's a Christian. I could be wrong, but I don't think he is. But that's besides the point. His point, though, is that the American mind, especially the young people, generation Y and Z especially, have this mindset that needs to be coddled. A lot of kids go to university and they don't want to be challenged by ideas that counter theirs and are scared to interact with those and are offended by everything. And so the title of this article is only 2 pages long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read parts of it. I'll link it down below, and also I'll link a larger article that's even longer, and then also I'll link to their book as well on Amazon. So if you want to check that out, but that'll come later. So the title of this is The Coddling of the American Mind, and it's abridged from The Atlantic, which I'll point you to that article there. In the name of emotional well-being, college students are increasingly being protected from words and ideas that they don't like. Here's why that's disastrous for education and mental health. So I'll be reading just some of the paragraphs from this, some sections. You can go back and read through everything if you want to get more depth. Again, you can go, this layer, what I'm talking about here. Second layer is read the whole thing on your own, this whole 2 pages. If you want more than that, you have the Atlantic article. And if you even want more than that, you can go get their book. So there's a multi-layer system here. If you are enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Please share this on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, MeWe, wherever you do your social media in right now, especially since there's a big implosion within the Facebook and Twitter world where a lot of people are dropping off like flies going to other social media platforms. So jump on board. If you're on another social media platform, share it. Connect with me too on those social media platforms. Don't forget to do that. Let's jump on to this topic. I'm going to skip the opening. I'll just read the first paragraph. Skip that. Go skip down to a number of paragraphs down, and then just keep skipping different things I want to talk about. Something strange is happening at American colleges and universities. A movement is rising to scrub campuses clean of words, ideas, and subjects that might cause discomfort or give offense. And then he goes into some examples of this, which we're not going to do. It's talking about microaggressions, some funny stories and stuff like that. That's like, wow, okay. Someone saying something about microaggressions, trying to define microaggressions and things like that, which is really interesting, but we're going to skip that right now. We're just going to read a few other things here. One thing that I found that's very indicative of this whole article is this one thing right in the middle, this blue highlight area, is the new campus climate of protectiveness is infantilizing. So it's pretty much making the campus an infant, a big babies. He's trying to argue against that. So that kind of sums up the whole paper, actually. But let's just go straight to the point, and that's the vindictive protectiveness. This is the main point that he's trying to attack. And he says this: the current movement, by contrast, is largely about emotional well-being. More than the last, it presumes an extraordinary fragility of the colleague psyche, and therefore elevates the goal of protecting students from psychological harm. The ultimate aim, it seems, is to turn campuses into safe spaces where young adults are shielded from words and ideas that make some uncomfortable. This new movement seeks to punish anyone who interferes with that aim, even accidentally. You might call this impulse of vindictive protectiveness. It is creating a culture in which everyone must think twice before speaking up, lest they face charges of insensitivity, aggression, or worse. We were talking about microaggressions before, and this is kind of addressing that, encapsulating this. We have been studying this development for a while now with a rising alarm. The dangers that these trends pose to scholarship and to the quality of American universities are significant. But what are the effects of this new protectiveness on the students themselves? Does it benefit the people it is supposed to help? What exactly are students learning when they spend 4 years or more in a community that polices unintentional slights, placing warning labels on works of classic literature, and in many other ways conveying the sense that words, and then we'll just skip over here, can be forms of violence that require strict control by campus authorities. There is a common saying, don't teach students what to think, teach them how to think. The idea goes back at least as far as Socrates. Today, what we call the Socratic method is a way of teaching that fosters critical thinking, in part by encouraging students to question their own unexamined beliefs as well as received wisdom of those around them. Such questioning sometimes leads to discomfort, even in anger, on the way to understanding. But vindictive protectiveness teaches students to think in a very different way. It prepares them poorly for the professional life, which often demands intellectual engagement with people and ideas one might find uncongenial or wrong. I'm going to skip this. You can just jump back there if you would like. I'm going to skip the thinking here. You can go and read that yourself if you would like. I'm going to jump to higher ed and emotional reasoning. But before I read to that, the answer to this is talking openly. This is the answer. Talking openly about conflicting values is what a diverse but tolerant community must learn to do. So he's saying is that we need to talk more openly about conflicting ideas and controversial ideas, which is really an important skill to learn and to teach your kids, especially in the world of apologetics and especially in the world in today's day and age. It's going to be really necessary because a lot of people won't be able to. So let's read this section about higher ed and emotional reasoning. Higher ed and emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning dominates many campus debates and discussions today because there is a broad ban in academic circles on blaming the victim. It is generally considered unacceptable to question their reasonableness, let alone the sincerity of someone's emotional state, particularly if those emotions are linked to one's group identity. The thin argument, "I'm offended," becomes an unbeatable trump card. If universities must teach students that their emotions can be used as weapons, and they are teaching them a kind of hypersensitivity that will lead them into countless conflicts that will damage their careers and friendships, along with mental health. I'm going to let you read mental filtering if you would like. That's totally fine. I'm just going to try to wrap it up by just reading the last section here, the last column. What we can do now, and that's kind of where I'll pick up reading most of this. I'll be skipping a small part of it, but again, you can read it yourself later. What can we do now? Attempts to shield students from words, ideas, and people might cause them emotional discomfort are bad for students. They are also bad for the workplace, which will be mired in unending litigation if students' expectations of emotional safety are carried forward, and they are bad for American democracy, which is already paralyzed by worsening partisanship. Rather than trying to protect students from words and ideas they will inevitably encounter, colleges and universities should do these next three things. Rethink the skills and values they most want to impart to their incoming students. Teaching students to avoid giving unintentional offense is a worthy goal, especially when the students come from many different cultural backgrounds. But students should be taught how to live in a world full of potential offenses. Talking openly about conflicting but important values is just that sort of challenging exercise that any diverse but tolerant community must learn to do. Second point, he says, strongly discourage trigger warnings. Colleges should endorse the American Association of University Professors report. The presumption that students need to be protected rather than challenged in a classroom is infantilizing the intellect and anti-intellectual. So don't do trigger warnings. And the last one, I'm just going to read the heading here. Teach incoming students how to practice cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a section that I did not talk about. So you can look at that and read here too if you want. I'm just going to skip down and read the very last paragraph. Finally, a greater commitment to formally debate on campus and to assembling a more politically diverse faculty would also serve the goals of critical thinking and a diverse campus community. And the campus needs to have more of a diverse faculty because there's so many who are really left-leaning in their political and worldview ideology, and it's really concerning. And I just want to bring this up with just as a recap, bringing everything together. I'm not going to really talk about this article. I think it speaks for itself, and you can read more about it with the links below. But a couple of things about universities and colleges. Now, from someone who not only went to university and college, number of colleges and universities, and taught at different colleges, and taught at high school, I would really encourage parents, I do encourage parents, to rethink how they are stressing college to their kids. My concern with so many parents, especially in the Christian world, is to push college. And that's fine if, first off, if you have the right college, and second off, if the kid even wants to go to college. There are so many times people are pushed into the college environment and they're not prepared. They don't have the desire. They just don't have what it takes. And that's nothing bad. It's totally fine. Everyone has different talents, and we should promote that. That's a God-given gifts and talents that we should really encourage them to go search and find what they have, and not feel like they're someone less than someone else if they don't have a college education. College education does not mean that you're a better person, okay? So encourage trades if someone wants to go into trades. But if someone wants to go to college or university, go for it. This is a good thing, especially if they're really dedicated. And here's something that I'd encourage too is stop thinking that you have to pay for it. You want them to pay for most of it. Why? You want them to pay for most of it because you want that college experience worth it for them. You can help them out. Definitely encourage that. If you do send your kids to college, help them out with vehicles or other things. That's totally fine. But you want them to pay for it. You want them to work for it. If you're paying for it, you're missing the point. Okay, you want them to work for it to have a value to them. Another thing I want to think about college is when you do send your kids to college, you want to send them to a close college, a university or a college that's next door, preferably, or online. That's what's really nice about colleges nowadays. You can go online and get a 2-year degree or 4-year degree or even a master's degree all online, which is really amazing. So take advantage of that, especially for the first 2 years. You want to have that person at a community college or online university or whatnot. That way, this is the reason why I'm saying this is I think it's so important that parents consistently are ignoring this very important point. You have to keep the kid home for the first 2 years. That's just a given. Oh, I got the scholarship. Who cares about the scholarship? It doesn't matter. They're paying for their college education anyhow. Forget the scholarship. You need your kids at home or nearby for the first 2 years to get them, let their mind mature and get to know what the college environment is like, especially at a community college or a online. Those are two great places to really start at. So you have to keep that kid at home. That helps with accountability and growth, and that child can actually come to you and others in your circle to challenge them with ideas that they're learning about in college, where they can ask you questions, which is a fine thing to do. You should always be open for questions. And the next thing to think about when you're going to college, show them diverse views. This is very important. You have to prepare them beforehand with diverse views. Now, there is, I helped with a couple of years now, some children who were, or young adults who were going to go to college, and they had a class that I was helping teach that prepared the kids with different worldviews. So there was communism was one of them. There was postmodernism was another one. Islam was another one. Christianity was another one. And those are just some of them. There was maybe 5 or 6. I forget the exact number of worldviews that we covered in that class. That's so important because we cover the main big picture ideas. And it's not just one class. This is something that you should be doing throughout your education, especially if you homeschool or go to a private school or a public school. It doesn't matter. But continually having them give you feedback, what they're learning, what they're seeing. If you do watch movies and television, this is a great place to not just sit back and idly just be entertained, but rather you need to think differently. If you're having kids, you need to analyze what you're watching about. So check out what you're watching, check the worldview, check the ideas, and talk about it as a family so that your children know that you're not scared of these topics, especially when they come to the right age, when they come to the appropriate age. You talk about some of the things. You do need to address these issues. These are just some of the ideas that I could give you on this topic about colleges and how to think through it as you're preparing your kids for college. But this work here by Jonathan Haidt is a great thing to really learn. And if your kids are able to be challenged in a way that other kids cannot, if they can study better than other kids cannot, if they can think better than other kids can, if they can write better and read better and do all this stuff better, they'll be way better off in college and university, okay? So the more you prepare them, the better, and prepare them in a way that they're not just pansies. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please share this with your friends and family. Share it on Twitter, Facebook, MeWe, Gab, wherever you're posting your stuff. It doesn't matter. Wherever you're posting your social media, post it on there. Please share this with as many people as possible. Check out my website below. Follow that. Subscribe to that. You get a free cheat sheet, which is really cool. Definitely check that out. And also, definitely like this video. Subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit that bell to make sure you get notifications whenever you get new videos coming up. And comment below. Tell me what your thoughts are. What are some thoughts that you have about not only the coddling of the American mind, but also about what parents should think about as they're preparing their kids for college, if they're going to college. And if they're not going to college, they still should be thinking through these complex issues as well, being challenged by different views and having the Christian response. So these are all good ideas to be thinking about. And so tell me your thoughts below. Share with other people what you've learned and what you know, and how you can help how you can help other parents as they raise their kids. With that, I want to just sign off with my usual: go out and give your world Christ.